Well, to talk more about this and to clarify some of the issues that arose today is the ANC spokesperson, Pule Mabe. Thank you very much for being with us this evening. I'm sure it's been an exhausting day, but you've taken the country along on this exhausting ride as well. And so tonight is really about just getting some clarity. Let's first start with the question around the president's appearance or presence at the meeting. Did you know he was not coming?
Normally when we go to meetings, we would not know who's going to be in that meeting and who's not going to be in that meeting. You get to be briefed when you get to the meeting. The chairperson will read out the apologies. So we were made aware when we got to the meeting that the president is not going to be coming to attend the National Executive Committee.
Given the timing of all of this, it sounds a little curious that that wouldn't be something that would have been understood or known beforehand.
Well, that's why the NEC, in its wisdom, made a determination that perhaps it should subject this to a process. Allow the officials, the national office bearers, inclusive of the president, the deputy president, the treasurer general and the national chair, to process that, have the national working committee and ultimately the NEC. It is just a few hours apart because we will sit the NEC tomorrow. We understand the urgency that this presents. We are aware that Parliament needs to sit to process the report on Tuesday. We would want to get to that space, having formulated an ANC position, so that we can be able to convey to a caucus something that our Chief Whip, Comrade Pema Jodini, who is also a member of the National Executive Committee, had conveyed. Once the ANC has consolidated its own position, it will then communicate to caucus on what needs to happen.
So just to confirm, that's the NWC tomorrow, not the NEC?
You're going to confuse your viewers. The NWC is going to sit. After the NWC, we'll have the NEC.
All right.
So we're expecting to have the NEC tomorrow. So we want to make sure that by the time we get to Tuesday, we have at least set all of these engagements that need to take place.
Pule, in offering his apologies or, in saying I'm not going to be at this meeting, what words were offered by the president? Well,
the Treasurer General of the ANC, when he spoke to the media on the sidelines of the National Executive, Special National Executive Committee that we just concluded in Nasrec, did say that the president had indicated that he will also be doing a number of consultations. You would also understand that the president is not just the president of the ANC. He is also the president of the Republic of South Africa. So some of the issues that come out have got a bearing on his own role as the president of the country, the custodian of the Constitution. So we have to understand all of those things. That's why we felt that it is necessary to allow for all of these processes to be undertaken. So when we see it, we'll be able to convey a position of the ANC. We want members of the ANC to be at one. The challenge that we are facing as well, and it played itself out today, where you even have members of the National Executive Committee in their different spaces beginning to assume the role of being national spokespersons. It confuses the public. That's why you end up not knowing what is the position of the ANC. So the appeal we've made to NEC members, those who are leading in provincial and regional structures, even those in business, that if they can, just for now, allow the message of the ANC to be one. You
want to control the narrative, and that's fair, because you want to...
Very much direct as opposed to controlling. Because the reason why you must direct the message is because it doesn't just involve the president of the ANC. It involves the head of state. So with that comes a number of interests, both national and regional and international interests. So whatever message we communicate has got to be one that says it is the prevalence of the unity of the ANC that is going to help us search through this difficult period.
Well, one might put to you, that is certainly good in principle, but wasn't evident in practice today. Because even your own members of the NEC were expressing confusion about what to expect. And even though you want to create this idea that everything was ordered and meticulous, it certainly didn't seem to go that way. How would you characterize this meeting today?
Well, I'm just saying that you and I are actually agreeing. So there is no way in my articulations where I sought to suggest that members of the NEC were at one. I had said part of what we need to manage as well is to also deal with these many different confusing voices that are coming out there. So something that we're appreciating that it creates, let me conclude, because it's going to be too risky for your viewers if you and I speak on top of each other. So let me conclude my line. So how I would characterize the meeting is that while there were so many voices, we don't have a problem with that. But if those many voices drive forward one message, then they are consistent with what the communications protocol of the ANC are advocating. They become problematic when they send different messages. There are markets, there's public interest, there's society. So we've got to assure the people of South Africa that they will wake up tomorrow with a country intact.
But some of what's already been said has been revelatory, and especially what we started our interview with, this contradiction that we were told by one of your NEC members, Tandiwe Mahambele, that there was a contradiction between the TG and the chairperson, Mashatile and Mantashe. What was that about?
Well, as national spokesperson of the ANC, I do not carry the responsibility to clarify what NEC members spoke in an unsanctioned fashion would have said. I speak what is sanctioned by the ANC. So the ANC's message is that, one, we have got to process all of these issues. The other issues really are just issues. NEC members are giving their different interpretations. So to avoid, and sometimes your own reporters on the ground are interviewing them. And what we have said to journalists is that they must also start conferring to the communications unit of the ANC. You know
that that's not how journalism works. We will take what we get, if it's credible.
Let's help you. The ANC is an organization. The ANC is an organization.
Yeah.
Can I just clarify?
Sure.
The ANC is an organization. We are dealing with a sensitive matter that involves the head of state, who is also the president of the ANC. So if the SABC or any other media outlet is going to take interest in many, many voices, the risk, not to the ANC, but to you confusing your very viewers, it's higher. When we walk in the malls, ordinary South Africans are asking us that, because this is where we've got a duty as patriots, not for the sake of the ANC, but for the sake of the country, to then say,
we've got a duty
to then say what message are we expected to drive? I know, and I accept this, that it is not possible that at all times we will, as NEC members, agree. The reason why you hold meetings is to make sure that you can forge consensus.
All right.
Communicate what is consensus out there to the public.
Well, we don't have the luxury of too much time, and it's right, but you play by your rules and we have to play by our rules.
True.
Which is in the interest of the public and hearing as many voices as we can. The troubling part is that these are members of the top six. These are not just random members. We're talking about the Treasurer General and the chairperson. And if we are hearing a message of confusion and the sense that the ANC isn't able to control the message, the narrative and the direction within its ranks, what assurances can it give the public that this is indeed a situation that is being led and has strong leadership?
Well, that's why we came here. And I do appreciate you putting that forward. We came here so that we can communicate to the public what is the decision of this NEC. Did the NEC, special NEC sit? Yes. Did it conclude its business? No. Why didn't we conclude our business? Because the NEC, in its own wisdom, decided to defer the next National Executive Committee, Special National Executive Committee, to tomorrow, to allow for officials, for the NWC to process issues so that when the NEC sit, it is then about considering what must be the decision that goes to caucus, which will guide members of parliament who represent the ANC for what they need to do when they go to parliament on the 6th of December. So that is the decision. Any other issue outside this, those are really views of NEC members. So the decision of the NEC conveyed by the Treasurer General on behalf of the overall body, entirety of the National Executive Committee, is exactly this one that I'm now communicating.
How would you characterize the mood in closing amongst your members in today's meeting?
Well, of course, I mean, there are mixed reactions. to the developments that we are currently dealing with, I must admit that this is one of the most difficult tests that the ANC faces. It's an organization that has really declared that it is a leader of society. We have to, at all times, make sure that while we place the interest of the ANC first, we also place the interest of the people of South Africa first. I mean, we had to issue a statement, for instance, today, dealing with some of the remarks made by a veteran activist and business person, James Mutlatsi, to the extent that he spoke to President Cyril Ramaphosa, telling him not to listen to criminals who want him to leave. I mean, we find this to be unfortunate. It's unfortunate, disrespectful of the body of the National Executive Committee. And he says this on radio because the leadership of the ANC can never sought to be characterized by criminals, even by those who think that they've got a personal relationship with the president. They have to hold their own horses. We are the leadership of the ANC. We must be allowed to steer the ship and provide much needed leadership. The same goes to the leader of the Veterans League. I mean, there are remarks attributed to Comrade Snooki, who's in the Veterans League, that we are crooks. Yeah. They sit in the NEC of the ANC. They have got every chance to make those statements. So there are many others. You're
characterizing them as cowards then, effectively, by using alternative measures.
Well, it is not just an act of cowardice, it's misplaced courage. Because those who are courageous and hold views, it's unfortunate that they've made these views. If they feel strongly, let me just conclude my point. If they feel strongly about their views, they should use the right platforms of the organization to engage on those. The ANC will never stop anyone
Final question
to engage.
To you, Pule Mabe, is in this moment of uncertainty, anxiety and speculation, when is the president going to address the nation? Well,
my job as the spokesperson of the ANC is not to speak about when the president addresses the nation. Because when he addresses the nation, he does so as President of the Republic.
Well, let's talk about President of the party and issuing, at least in the interim, as these processes get concluded, taking the nation into his confidence, even as leader of the party.
Maybe the question, maybe if I sat on your other side, the question would be, when will the ANC communicate its position on this matter? Because the president is part of a collective. Now, the collective body of the National Executive Committee, once it has taken a decision, it will communicate its views out to the public.
Thank you, Pule Mabe. As always, appreciate you coming in. Pule Mabe is the spokesperson of the ANC.